The Chicago Cubs players don't care about curses.
Cubs win!
They don't care about droughts.
Brant Brown going back. Brant Brown drops the ball. No! He drops the ball.
Chris Bryant and Jorge Soler were only 6 years old when Brant Brown had that famous drop ball in Milwaukee in 1998. Theo Epstein's vision for this team is starting to take shape. Great young hitting and an ace with a World Series title. This Cubs team isn't waiting for next year. The future is now. Hi, everyone. Welcome in. The future is now Cubs baseball. I'm David Kaplan. And this is 12-year MLB veteran, my longtime partner. He is Todd Hollinsworth. Holly, optimism overflowing. I was just at Cubs camp. You made a spring training tour. Everyone's talking about the Cubs.
Oh, everybody's taking note of the Cubs. And I mean, that's the one thing I learned about the tour was I wasn't out in Arizona. I was actually down in Florida with over at MLB. And so we were doing this. I mean, the Cubs are being talked about just about everywhere you go. And that's the exciting thing about this. You look at the youth, the young hitters, the excitement, John Lester, Arrieta, bullpen. It's going to be a fun year. It's going to be a fun division. I'm really looking forward to baseball in Chicago this year.
All right, it's not just the fans. The players and everyone in the organization believes this team has turned a corner and that you won't see them be sellers at the trade deadline for a very, very long time. Here are two of the team's veterans on the potential for the 2015 campaign.
We have winners, too, that have come over from organizations to join us and be part of this now because it's going to be something special, and it's what it's all about now. We just really need to gel as one.
I think we can be one of the top in the Central. I think we have a team that we can fight. You know what I mean? We can do a lot of things. We can be in a lot of people's mouth now. You know, I think we can be together. It's a great team. Everybody in the same page. You know, and everybody they only coming here for only one reason. You know what I mean? It's win. You know, and I think it's gonna be exciting.
All right, winning the World Series is, of course, the team's ultimate goal, even if the expectation to win it all isn't there this season. I had a chance to sit down with Theo Epstein recently. I asked him about his experience winning the World Series with the Boston Red Sox.
The best way to sum it up is, you know, in Boston, there was before we won in 04, there was all this angst about, well, it won't be the same once you win a World Series. It'll ruin it. It won't be as special. We're unique because it's been 86 years and the ball always goes through someone's legs, and it just won't be the same when it happens. And then once it happened, you didn't hear a single person saying, I wish we hadn't won because it's no longer special. It just enhances everything. It's like this cathartic, satisfying, joyful moment that connects people, connects generations, and makes everything worthwhile. And then you get to go out and try to do it again. So Cubs fans deserve this more than anybody else in the world, and it motivates us working really hard to help give them that moment.
All right, let's talk about it. You won a World Series.
Yeah.
You beat the Cubs to do it. Theo talked about winning it in Boston before he came here, won 2 of them.
Right.
What is it like at this time of year when you're on a team where you go, okay, maybe they're not expecting this, but we have talent now, and we're in the mindset of, let's take the next step.
Well, optimism is high. I mean, that's just it. You talk about it in the clubhouse, the things that this team does well. I mean, you know, you look at this team and you say, okay, they're young. I mean, there's things that stand out. You know, this team has, struck out an awful lot in spring training, and they've also hit a lot of home runs. I mean, what you do is you recognize the talent and you hope that everything hits well. Getting off to a good start is vital with a team like this. You know, you look at how they're put together, with the young hitters and, John Lester at the top of the rotation. He doesn't pitch every day. He pitches every 5th day. I mean, you have to look at it like that. We had a good bullpen last year. Bullpens are, sometimes hard to predict, even good ones. It doesn't always go year to year. So can that bullpen, as good as we saw them, be that good again this year with expectations being a little bit? So everybody does their part. The great thing about this group is that I look at them and I don't feel like key things necessarily have to happen, or John Lester has to win 20 games, or Anthony Rizzo has to hit 40 homers this year. Things like that aren't in play any longer. You've got an offense that can lean on some different people now, or at least we believe that's supposed to happen. John Lester has Jake Arrieta to go to, and Kyle Hendricks and Jason Hamill. I mean, this is a good rotation. I'd put him up with just about anybody in baseball. But that's it. I mean, when you feel like it's collective, it's a lot easier to accomplish than it feels like, all right, well, if we have our 3-star players have career years, years, then we got a chance to do something. That's not the Cubs.
All right, a big part of giving Cubs fans that moment that Theo referred to a couple seconds ago is going to be their manager. And Todd, it looks like they have a guy in Joe Maddon that can not only lead them to the playoffs, can help them win a World Series.
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, track record speaks for itself. The great thing about Joe is that he's as level-headed as they come, and I think that's the one thing that we learn. I certainly have learned about him, watching him with the Rays, now watching him with this Cubs group. The reason he's a great leader is he's a guy, and I give him credit for this. This is what Tommy Lasorda used to do for me and used to do for all the Dodgers way back in the day, was that he kind of protected us, and Joe does that. I think of the Baez situation, how he's protected Baez, always saying the right things, always promoting his guys. He takes away that pressure from the younger players, and you know, you got an awful lot of them right now. What it does is it puts you in a position to just go out there and play. Don't worry about the numbers. Opportunities are going to come. Opportunities will present themselves, but he has handled everything so far. I mean, think of the buzz that's been in this camp, from Bryant to Baez to expectations to a new stadium, or you know, a construction and everything else that's going on, and he's a first-year manager. I mean, go around baseball last year. I mean, there's always this learning curve that we seem to, you know, he's a first-year manager here in Chicago, but you look at the guys who move around and you think, okay, they got to get used to their circumstances. Joe has just kind of took this right in stride, as if he's just kind of moved over here, and we kind of we just kind of expected it to be this way.
All right, what do you like about his managing style? Because I show up at camp, and you know, we're used to, when you were growing up, managers, coaches were thought of as tyrants, and you know, force you to run this and scream at that. There's rock and roll music playing while they're taking infield and taking BP, and he's just a very laid-back, chill guy.
Right. Well, the thing that you learn about Joe is that there are rules. It's just, you know, he wants the players to police themselves. That's a bit of an old-school mentality, but Joe knows it works. I mean, the best clubhouses in the world are, you know, good groups of guys where the older guys are policing the younger guys, and Joe does his part but stays out of the way. That's really what you want. You don't want to have a clubhouse where you have to have the manager come in and have a team meeting before every day, starts a team meeting after the day. You know, Joe is a guy who wants to believe in his players. He's going to control the work, how much work they're doing. You know, this is a young, impressionable group, but he's allowing them to grow. You know, some managers will take a young group and overmanage them early. We call them great coaches. Maybe not great managers, but great coaches. But Joe gets it. He wants these guys to play the game the right way, and they're going to do the things the right way, or they're going to lose some playing time. But the reality is he lets the young players breathe, and I think that's a great place for this young group to be in.
All right, team made two big moves in the offseason. Maddon the first, John Lester the second. Lester gets to start on opening night on a nationally televised stage. Last week I had a chance to sit down with John about that opportunity, what the future holds for his team.
I don't think I've ever opened at home either, so that's a whole nother curveball to throw in there for me. So it'll be exciting. Just, you know, then you kind of just have to step back, and once you start warming up, then it's just another game. So you know, try to let it soak in before that, but then when it's time to go, it's time to go.
You said yesterday when we talked to you, you said they've always tried to, not the Cubs, but during your career, don't show your emotions, just be a robot and do your job. And I asked Joe about that. He said, I will never change. I love a guy to be himself. If that's him out there mad at himself, I love it.
Yeah.
That's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think
it's not your first rodeo.
Well, yeah. You know, I think you reach a certain point in your career where it's like, you know, I don't really care anymore. I'm just going to be me. I'm tired of holding this stuff in. You know, I know for me personally, that's what gets me in trouble a lot of times, is when I hold my emotions in. Everything kind of builds up, and, you know, then it carries over to other things. So, you know, the more I can kind of let them out in different ways. I mean, it's not always that. It's not always, you know, yelling at myself on the mound. You know, there's other ways that I do it, but you know, I think it just kind of gets magnified here because, you know, you guys really haven't seen me, so that's just who I am. And you know, it's nice to hear from your manager, but like I said, I think when you reach a certain point in your career, it's kind of like, hey, this guy's done it a little while. He, you know, it is what it is. We'll just let him be himself.
Vegas odds keep going down and down on the Cubs, and I asked Theo, and he goes, relax, slow the roll. We're a young team. That's crazy talk. What do you think of that?
I mean, it's cool. It's something to talk about. You know, kind of the unique thing about baseball is it's such a long season that, you know, really anything can happen. And, you know, that's cliche and that's an easy way out of that answer, but it's the truth. I mean, you can go into the first 2 weeks of the season and all of a sudden 3/4 of your pitching staff is down. And, you know, maybe one of your key bats is down, and you miss a month, and now all of a sudden you're behind the 8 ball and you're in last place, you know. So that could be for the team that's got the best odds, and that could be the complete opposite for the team that has the worst odds. I mean, I've seen the Rays over the years, you know, every year they're kind of the underdog, and they come and they catch the ball and they pitch well, and you see where they're at the end of the year. So, you know, I've been on the other end of it too. I've seen the Blue Jays, and you know, we've been given the World Series trophy before in certain years, and you know, you fall flat on your face. So, it's such a long season, and really anything can happen that you just have to play it out, one game at a time.
Last one, do you dream of what a World Series would be like for this franchise? Because you did it in Boston, and it was 80-some years. This is over 100.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, well, obviously one of the major things that drew me here was that challenge of bringing that title here. You know, and obviously having that relationship with Theo. I mean, Theo's the one that did it. I had no part of 04. I was just a minor league guy on the backfield just trying to get to the big league. So, but to be a part of that organization and see how it changed the organization, changed the people up in New England was huge. And, you know, if we're able to do that, I mean, that's just, obviously it's history. And it'd be something that'd be really, really cool to be a part of. I think we have the core group of guys that can do it. Like I said, now we just have to go out and apply it to the everyday grind of the season, and you know, try to take, you know, we can all talk about the World Series, but when it comes down to it, we got to worry about, you know, the game at hand that day, and can't worry about when and if we get there.
All right, when you add an ace to an already deep rotation, people naturally expect a lot. Look, he is not a guy, he said to me when we got done with the interview, he goes, I'm not going to be the guy that jumps up on a chair and rants and raves and turns over table. That's not who I am.
No, never was.
He tries to lead by example, and he's just a really good guy to deal with. What does he add to the clubhouse?
Well, it's the professionalism of the way he goes about his business that younger players should certainly pick up on. I mean, not to mention, I mean, I've said this for years. I mean, the best way to lead is by going out there and producing on the field. Well, that's the one thing John has definitely done. Listen, you can come into the clubhouse. There's some guys that like to talk. There's some guys that will jump out in front, and I'll tell you what, most of us appreciated those guys because maybe we were all thinking it, but some guys just had the knack for saying it and jumping out and having a team meeting when a team meeting was needed. You know, John is a guy that's going to lead by example. He's going to sit down and he's going to have the one-on-one conversations. He's not going to be having the 25-man, you know, the 25-man roster conversation. Let's go get them, guys. But that's not his style. He wants to lead by example. It's who he is. He's going to lead, and you're going to see him at his best when he's out there on the mound, when he's navigating a difficult inning with runners on second and third and nobody out. You're going to see his professionalism, and you're going to see what he's all about. And like I said, to me, he really does come across as that guy that teaches and talks, but it's more of an individual conversation. I'm sure he talks to everybody in that rotation about what he sees and what's going on and how he's attacking hitters, just like he's talking to the hitters themselves, Cubs hitters. Hey, listen, let's look for this today. That all happens, but again, he doesn't appear to be the rah-rah guy, but you don't have to have him be the rah-rah guy. All right, Lester has 12 career postseason starts, including the World Series clinching start for the Red Sox in '07. That experience, if they make the playoffs, and we know the pressure you played in it, will get ramped up because they haven't won in 107 years. Having a guy like that, do you lean on him at a point like that? Well, you should. I mean, you embrace it. I mean, that's the one thing that I learned through my playoff experiences, and I had a pretty decent run through my career when it came to playoff baseball, but it was just that. I embraced it. I loved it. I cherished it. I loved the fact that the stage was bigger, the lights were brighter, and more people were packing in, and TVs were turned on everywhere where you went. I wanted to come through in those spots, and John clearly felt the same way. The bigger the stage, the more he wanted to be out there. Let me say this. You'll learn more about yourself in the playoffs, Cap, than you do at any other thing. I mean, we talk about spring training and young players and big league baseball, you know, guys establishing themselves at the major league level, blah, blah, blah. There's another step in there. I don't talk about it too often because we haven't had the ability to get there yet. But it's going to the playoffs. That's the next step for young players, for John, who's now done it, and the information and the knowledge and the calming of the nerves that you just get when you get into those situations. And the success that you have in the playoffs, I mean, I swear by it, it literally, you know, helped me with my career. I felt if I could do it on this stage and come through in these positions, that there's nobody that should intimidate me in the middle of next season in game number 81. It was a mindset that just kind of continued to motivate me. And John has that. I mean, he's had the success at the highest of high levels, and he's got the rings to back that up. So again, knowledge, experience, calming of the nerves. He's gone through it all, and then he's on top of it succeeded in those spots. All right, still ahead on The Future is Now. Cubs baseball take a deep dive into the team's young core, including
outfielder Jorge Soler. Plus, the debate of what the Cubs should do with Chris Bryant is over. Holly tells us what to expect from the super prospect after he makes his debut in Chicago. And is Anthony Rizzo on the cusp of a breakout year? The numbers say huge things could be ahead for the team's first baseman.
It's face-off time. And you can score big savings at Lexus of Orland, Orland Toyota, and Lexus of Merrillville.
You'll shoot and score
With the Corrales family of dealerships.
Your old air conditioner is costing you money. Put your money back in your pocket with a new energy-efficient air conditioner from Four Seasons. And right now, get a new air conditioner from just $24.95 installed. Furnace and AC combos from just $36.95. Plus, enjoy 5 years interest-free financing. Call today for a free estimate from Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing.
For all the right reasons, call 866-4 Seasons.
Welcome. You're the valet?
Yeah, sort of the valet. Both drive for a living, both like to save money on car insurance, and we both know you may not get this car back in the same condition. Watch your toes.
Sorta you isn't you. With DriveSense from Esurance, you can earn a personalized discount based on how you drive, not how someone sorta like you drives. You'll even get a discount just for signing up. Esurance, backed by Allstate. Click or call.
People often ask me, John, how do you do it? Still making pizzas after 30 years. Seriously, guys, it ain't rocket science. It ain't physics. It's pizza. And I love pizza.
Get our Philly cheesesteak pizza with original Philly cheesesteak company steak, a large for just $12. And introducing our new double chocolate chip brownie, served warm for just $6.
Better ingredients, better pizza. PapaJohns.com.
Ford is taking the EcoBoost Challenge all across America.
Ford has really stepped up.
Check out Fusion and find out why Ford is the brand more people buy and buy again.
I like the grill and the sexy look to it.
EPA estimated 37 miles per gallon on the highway.
Are you serious?
Fusion is amazing.
My opinion of Ford has dramatically changed. Take the EcoBoost Challenge at your Ford dealer and get a Fusion with 0 for 60 plus 1,000 cash back plus $750 competitive owner cash or lease for only $179 a month.
Hey Chicago, Beer Money is back and you can be a part of all the fun. Join us for our next taping with CSN's very own Jen Latta this Thursday, April 9th from 6 to 9 at Portland's Garage in Chicago. Beer Money, presented by Coors Light.
Like I said, my expectations are greater than anybody's out there, and I think that's the way to play this game. I think you should expect a lot out of yourself, and I think that brings the best out of you. So, expectations is kind of a, weird word for me. It kind of, puts a little pressure on you that you don't need. But Joe always says, if there's pressure on something, then there's something good in the end. So we'll see where we turned out at the end.
That's Chris Bryant on his own personal expectations. Now let's get Todd Hollandsworth's expectations for Bryant once he makes his major league debut. Okay, he destroyed the Cactus League. I mean, he was unreal. Hit over 400, on-base percentage near 500, 9 home runs, almost double anyone in baseball. What's your expectation for him?
Well, I'm going to pull it back just a little bit. I mean, this is Cactus League baseball, and let's not make too much out of spring training because, again, the ball's flying down there. As we know, everybody's hitting a lot of long balls. Great place to hit spring training. Everybody gets excited to go down there. Listen, he was motivated. He had something to prove. I am so proud of Chris Bryant and how he's handled this entire situation. Not that we're even going down that road, but there's been obviously a lot of noise around him, and he continued to hit all the way through. The next step, obviously, is getting himself to the big league level and performing up there. The challenge there, as we've said all along, is that, you're going up against aces, and you're going up against, ace number twos. I mean, you look at just take the Dodgers, for example. Clayton Kershaw and Zach Greinke, the top 2 guys in their rotation. I mean, move around. You got Adam Wainwright, St. Louis Cardinals, Lance Lynn, Garrett Coles. I mean, these are the guys that you face every day. That's not the case in spring training, so there's a little bit more leash down there, and it's just a little easier to hit. I think we all kind of get that, but moving forward, he's got power to all fields. I think expectations are high. I love to hear that he talks about expectations that way, but again, let's reel it in. I mean, it's not like I'm going to sit here and say, well, as soon as he gets here, if he gets 140 games at the big league level this year, that I would expect 50. I'm not saying it's not outside the realm, but again, I would just tend to see he's probably going to get hot first, probably cool off a little bit as they start to figure him out, and then he's going to have to make some adjustments along the way.
Over under 27.5 home runs. Where are you going?
I would probably take, it's a good number, I would probably take under, but slightly, just to protect it.
All right. Last year, Javi Baez got the hype, but Jorge Soler had the much better debut. Only 24 games, but he certainly impressed everyone who saw him play for the Cubs. What do you like about his abilities?
Everything. We over at MLB, we have to put out our, rookies of the year and MVPs and whatnot. So I got Chris Bryant and Jorge Soler. I mean, the Cubs are winning it's the way I see it. The Cubs are winning the rookie of the year this year with somebody. One of the two. Love this guy, Vladdy Guerrero. I don't know what else to tell you, people. I mean, great swing, great approach with runner scrimmage. He's got that kind of that reckless, aggressive, I understand the strike zone and I know what I'm doing kind of approach to it all. That's what I love about him. I mean, I never could do it successfully. I had to be one or the other. I was either, zoning in or zoning out and being reckless. He kind of has it both. A great arm, good defender, great guy. I mean, here's the thing. Somehow he is just a little bit below the radar, and I love the position that he's in right now, and I don't know how or why that is. With Chris Bryant taking so much of the hype, but he's done nothing but just hit everywhere he's been. Tremendous power, as I said, to all fields. But to me, the one thing that really stands out, and certainly stood out to me last year in those 24 games, was his approach with runners in scoring position. Again, you look at the Cubs right now. They're a team that, has the highs, a lot of long balls. Even in spring training, a lot of strikeouts to go along with it. He is one guy that, for me, understands it in those situational spots that you hear me ranting and raving year after year about. We got to get these young hitters to understand what we need to do against Garrett Cole with a runner on third and one out. We're not swinging for the fences. Just take that soft little line drive to right. He does those things, and he does it at a very early age.
Funny, I ran into a scout in Arizona, and I said, what do you think of the Cubs prospects? He said, love Chris Bryant.
Right.
Soler's your best player right now.
I can see that.
Most people forget that Anthony Rizzo is only 25 years old. His RBI numbers last year weren't good. How much will that change? Will an improved lineup around him help him? Because for a guy who hit 30-plus bombs, he didn't drive in the number because he didn't have guys in front of him.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's not going to be a problem this year. But again, Anthony has to be better. I mean, let's be fair, and that is very reasonable. But I think Anthony tell you, there were some spots where he should have probably done a little bit better job in those spots. Now, the package really, to me, really feels like it's coming together for him. I mean, we've seen the high average. Saw him struggle just a little bit in the sophomore season. Come back last year, high average, high on-base percentage, slugging percentage, homers. But now, now we move on to the RBIs. And in a lot of ways, is the next step for a young slugger is figuring out how to do that. He's got the short swing. He adjusts at the plate very, very well. I mean, getting off to a good start's a good thing. And I tell you all the time, I can tell you when he's going to get hot, when he gets that front foot down on time. And he looks so good and has, here of the last 2 weeks in spring training coming into the season like he wants to be, the guy again this year. And I think that will happen. He's going to continue to use the field, more talent around him, should mean more RBI opportunities. But again, the approach in those situations is going to be vital. It's not going to just be about hitting 2-run homers or 3-run homers. It's going to be using the whole field, taking what they're giving him. And I think that this year you may see the 32 turn into, say, I don't know, 25 or 27, but let's maybe bump up that RBI total to 105. I think that's very realistic.
All right, still ahead on The Future is Now, Cubs baseball. We'll get Holly's predictions for the ball club this season. Plus, is Starlin Castro still part of the Cubs' long-term plan? And what can we expect from the 3-time All-Star shortstop this year? Be right back.
I lost my daughter Chrissy to cancer, but in her final hours, she chose to give me the ultimate gift. My vision was failing, and through a cornea transplant, Chrissy gave me the gift of sight.
It takes less than a minute to join the Secretary of State's Organ and Tissue Donor Registry.
The eyes are the mirror to the soul, so I'm seeing my great-granddaughter through Chrissy's eyes.
Go to lifegoeson.com.
Chrissy's gift changed a life. You can too.
Wow, sweet new Subaru, huh, Mitch? Yep. You're selling the Mitch Mobile? Man, we had a lot of good times in this baby. What's your dad want for it? Like 150 grand. 200 if they want that tape deck. You're not gonna tell your dad about the time my hamster had babies in the back seat, are you? That's just normal wear and tear, dude.
Subaru has the highest resale value of any brand, according to Kelley Blue Book. And Mitch. Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
The conference call, the ultimate arena for business.
Hour after hour of diving deep, touching base, and putting ducks in rows. The only problem with conference calls, eventually they have to end. Unless you have the Comcast Business Voice Edge mobile app. It lets you switch seamlessly from your desk phone to your mobile with no interruptions. I've never felt so alive.
Get the future of phone, and the phones are free. Comcast Business, built for business.
I sell paintings of cats.
I sell antique cameras.
I sell mufflers,
cellos,
surfboard, stemware. It's odd.
Beautiful.
It has an unusual shape.
I have no idea how to pack this.
Wow, I need help.
I need experts. It's fragile. Can you be trusted?
The UPS Store Pack and Ship Guarantee. We pack it, we ship it, we guarantee it.
So if anything happens to this,
we'll take care of it.
I love logistics.
We pack it, we ship it, we guarantee it at the UPS Store.
All right, Todd, sometimes we forget that Starlin Castro is 25 despite entering his 6th season in the majors. What do you expect from him this season?
Oh, I think it's a great opportunity for Starlin. I really do. Here's the one thing that I feel about Starlin is that, number one, he's really started to develop. We've started to see the mental errors stop. We saw him swing the bat again last year using the entire field. Yeah, maybe we get up there and start talking about 20 and 80, maybe 20 and 85. Good numbers. Here's the thing. The one thing that really excites me about Starlin's opportunity this year is that you and I and everybody else, we're not really talking about Starlin. We're talking about Chris Bryant and Addison Russell and all the other traffic, noise, prospects, John Lester. I mean, it's a great spot to be in. When you've been in the position where everything is summed up as far as your team through you at a very young age, man, I tell you what, that can be taxing. And certainly he's been carrying a ton on his shoulders. I look to Starlin Castro to capitalize on the fact that he will not be the most talked about guy on this team this year, and he should. It's a great place to be. Every team, every manager tells you, listen, there's nothing worse than trying to win a pennant when everybody knows you're the team that's supposed to win the pennant. So for me, Starlin is the guy who does not have that attention this year, and he should really have a great season.
All right, quickly, prediction time. How many games the Cubs win this season, and do they make the playoffs?
84, they're going to have to push hard. I'd like to see it. I hope I'm wrong, but I got them at 84 right now. If they can get 3 or 4, maybe they can push for a wild card spot.
All right, I got them at 83. Not sure that gets you into the playoffs. This has been The Future Is Now Cubs Baseball. You can join Holly and me at Cubs pre- and post-game live all season long. We'll see you then on Comcast Sportsnet. Happy opening day.